Welcome to Real Life. Today we're looking at some 1945 footage of the aftermath of the Battle of Manila in the Philippines. This rare but somber footage shows what the city looked like in September or October 1945. One can only imagine how the citizens that survived coped with the destruction of their once vibrant and beautiful city. The footage was captured by a member of the U.S. Navy with a personal film camera. The Battle of Manila from February 3 to March 3, 1945 is known to be the fiercest urban fighting in the region. Very few battles during the last few months of World War II are known to have exceeded the brutality and destruction in Manila. The casualties were staggering. 1,010 American soldiers were killed. 16,665 Japanese forces were killed. And an estimated 100,000 to 240,000 Filipino civilians lost their lives in the month-long battle. The American forces arrived in Manila from several different directions. By 1941, Manila had been declared an open city by General Douglas MacArthur. Though the Japanese had not intended to put a lot of resources into defending Manila, Rear Admiral Sanji was given the assignment to defend the city to the last man. General MacArthur anticipated that the city of Manila would be recaptured. In fact, the announcement came on February 4th. By then, his staff had even planned the victory parade. This was right at the beginning of the battle. The battle itself took close to a month, and it soon became almost a house-to-house struggle. Though General MacArthur wanted to protect Manila and the civilians living in the city, the massive devastation of the battle still could not be avoided. The Japanese, who had been able to hold off the American infantrymen, became overwhelmed with fire from destroyers, tanks, and howitzers. The attack from the Americans left the Japanese troops facing capture or certain death. In their anger, the Japanese troops would retaliate against civilians, which were the victims of some of the most severe brutality. These acts of brutality are now known as the Manila Massacre. Some of the acts which the civilian population suffered included rapes, massacres, and violent mutilations. After the war, Japanese General Yamashita received the blame for the Manila Massacre and was eventually hung for war crimes. This uncensored aftermath footage is rather rare and shows the brutality of war. The city was left decimated. U.S. forces worked with survivors to begin cleanup and rebuilding. Filipinos lost an irreplaceable cultural and historical treasure in the resulting carnage and devastation of Manila, remembered today as a national tragedy. Countless government buildings, universities and colleges, convents and monasteries, churches, and their accompanying treasures dating to the founding of the city were ruined. The cultural patrimony, including art, literature, and especially architecture, of the Orient's first truly international melting pot, the confluence of Spanish, American, and Asian cultures, was eviscerated. Manila, once touted as the Pearl of the Orient and famed as a living monument to the meeting of Asian and European cultures, was virtually wiped out. Most of the buildings damaged during the war were demolished after the liberation, as part of rebuilding Manila, replacing European-style architecture from the Spanish and early American era with modern American-style architecture. Only a few buildings remain intact. I hope you've enjoyed this episode and will join us again. If you have any corrections or details that I overlooked, please let us know in the comments section below. And if you really enjoyed it, subscribe to help support this channel. See you next time on Real Life.